Hey folks, welcome back to BizTalk. My name is Rick Gutierrez. I am your host and your business advocate. Hey, this is a space where we get to learn from business professionals, business owners that have been in business for a very long time, sometimes even decades. So we know that they are subject matter experts in their field. And we are privileged to have them here because this is how we learn. Lifelong learning is one of our things that we do every single week, every single day. We are always learning, and so why not learn from those that have been there and have experienced many of the things? So why not learn from the best? And one of the things that I also want to mention is that this is the space where we get to sit back, relax, but also at the same time be attentive to where we're going to be learning quite a few things. So take down some notes, grab some paper, grab a pen, and take also notes from our guests on the show, because you'll be able to get in touch with them directly and potentially do business and or help them guide you in the right way. So with that said, I've got someone who is very, very knowledgeable in his field, and I'm just going to let him tell you all about his field because he is one of the most amazing people that I've talked to here recently. And Feras, welcome back to the show. Glad to have you.
Thank you so much, Rick. I appreciate the kind introduction.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. I mean, you and I have had a great conversation on screen and off screen, and I'm just in awe of your expertise, your knowledge in business, and helping business professionals and being a mentor to many. So thank you for everything that you do.
Absolutely, absolutely. A lot of people help me along the way, and that's at least the least I can do to help others.
Exactly. So it's always about paying it forward. So Feras, today's topic, we want to talk a little bit about bridging income inequality and supporting nonprofits specifically, because I feel like this is a topic that not many people are talking about it, so we want to shed some light on it and just kind of get your thoughts, what you've seen in the field. You've been in business for a long time, so let's get into that topic if you don't mind, because I know that you have some great insights into that. So your commitment to supporting nonprofits and bridging the income inequality and that gap is pretty inspiring in everything that you do and how you help folks. But how do you leverage your business expertise to make a tangible impact in these areas?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. This is a really important topic, and I think entrepreneurs
Sure.
and the business world can do a lot.
Absolutely.
First, one reason or another, I got the volunteering bug early on in my life, and I think it's the people you surround yourself with, if they're serious about life, if they're serious about serving and helping others, sort of they rub off on you. So that's what happened to me. And initially, I was an electrical engineer. That's what I studied in college. So I don't know if I couldn't help nonprofits with electrical engineering,
Right.
but I was also good in project management. So I would take on, if there's an event in a local community, maybe center, if there's an event with maybe like youth, helping them put together a maybe youth camp, or maybe take some of the youth and go plant a tree, or go and do a soup kitchen on a Sunday, or go and maybe do like a project with Habitat for Humanity. So I used in the earlier days of my professional life, I used project management as a skill that I had and helped nonprofits with that. These days, it's more about, I help a lot of entrepreneurs scale and grow their businesses to 7 and 8 figures, so that I think I can have a stronger impact in terms of helping nonprofits with, say, if you have a business plan for 2025, let me review it for you. If you have a marketing plan, if you want to maybe hire an executive director, I can help you put together maybe a job description, maybe help you interview the right candidate. So my thinking has evolved over the years. Is instead of maybe, I mean, obviously you have, I think all of us who can afford should donate, and can donate financially, but also if you can help from your area of expertise, I think a lot of nonprofits could benefit from that. Whatever the area is, try to see if you can find a nonprofit or a cause where you can support them with this skill that you have.
Absolutely, because I think, we kind of hit the nail on the head just in a little while. It's about giving back. It's about paying it forward. It's just all about doing the right thing for the right reasons, the right way. And I feel like helping nonprofits achieve their goals is probably one of the least things that we can do as humans, because those nonprofits are going to impact many in the world, right? So thank you for sharing that. So one of the other questions that I had for you, Feras, was, what strategies do you recommend for nonprofits to adapt or adopt from the business world to enhance their operational efficiency and achieve their mission in being more effectively around the world?
Yeah. Short answer is a lot. So especially smaller nonprofits, and let's say under $1 million. I think larger nonprofits these days have amazing staff and amazing executive directors, and they bring a lot of talent because they can afford to bring in talent with experience. I think some of the struggling nonprofits or amazing causes, but they don't have maybe the entrepreneurial mindset, or they don't have the corporate background, or no one on their board does, or maybe their executive director doesn't. So I think systems is what is lacking. So your donor database, it can't be in your Gmail, it can't be on a spreadsheet. Invest in learning about a donor management system. Now, everything we talk about in the business world about CRMs, customer relationship management systems, like Zoho CRM or Salesforce or HubSpot, all those concepts about nurturing leads and turning leads into customers, the same concepts apply to nurturing a general person in the general public and into a supporter, into maybe an advocate for your cause. So systems, I think, is one thing that's missing. And then we have volunteers, they come and go. But systems and people who manage these systems are there for the nonprofit. So think of task management, anything to do with like process workflow, automation, of course, accounting, like use systems, use an accountant. I think hiring processes and how you vet a person, vetting your volunteers, making sure you work maybe with someone who is someone in your neighborhood, someone on your board, someone maybe the spouse of someone on your board is an executive in HR. They can come in and help you put a system for hiring. So a lot of system, I think a lot of it, these folks in the nonprofits, they believe so passionately in their causes. And just because you believe in a cause and it's an amazing cause, it doesn't mean that the universe is going to change its laws to support you.
Right.
So you need to build an organization, build an institution, just like we build businesses. I think a lot of it, again, the cause is different, the objectives are different. It's not all about making money, but if you want to have impact, you got to have systems and processes and qualified people who can run and manage these systems and processes to support the cause.
I'm glad that you talked about that because, one of the things that, those that know me and know me well know that I am the number one person to make suggestions or bring the idea, but I don't necessarily know how to put it all together. I don't know what all the pieces of the puzzle, where they're at or how to bring them together, but hiring the right people, the right vendor to help you achieve that vision and, let them trust and let them do their job, you can create some really amazing things. And so I am the number one person that's always coming up with ideas or suggestions and then, let people run with them. And that's, one of the things that we as the visionaries, sometimes all it takes is just a vision, right? And that vision just kind of grows legs and it goes from there. So thank you for sharing that. So let's talk a little bit about still nonprofit initiatives. You have been involved with that successfully, and you've addressed income inequality or have provided some insight into that. But there is a significant support that is very underserved in communities, and so especially for nonprofits. So what are some of those inequalities that you have seen that are most common that our viewers could potentially take from and say, hey, you know what, that kind of sounds like what we have going on and maybe Feras can help us. So what have you seen out there?
Sure. And if you look at stats, and we won't have the time to go over a lot of it today, but there's the gap between what CEOs used to make and your average worker has been widening over the last 20, 30 years. Obviously, income inequality in our society is one of, I think President Obama at the time said this is like the challenge of our time, of our era. We have issues, all kind of issues around us, but I think people need to be able to live with dignity, and whether you go here where I live in the Bay Area, you go to San Francisco, it's not a pretty scene. You see the amazing work that the entrepreneurs have done, and they built all these startups, and the amazing, we have Google, Meta, Salesforce, you name it. But then just down the road, you'll see people, living and sleeping on the street. So we got to do something about it. And I think each one of us can help, whether it's in the area of feeding those who need food and shelter. Maybe it's in education. I like to focus on education. I like to do a number of things. So I'll plug in here for the Red Cross. I'm a lifelong blood donor. It takes about an hour every 2 months, and I'm on 109th actually donation just a couple of weeks ago. But also, if you have 2 hours on the weekend, you can go and help a nonprofit put a lot smoke detectors in this is something I've done we know with the Red Cross in for underserved communities. I mean, there's so many things you can do. I like to focus also on sort of that one-on-one support. So when we sold that last business, my wife and I decided to have a scholarship where I graduated from Tulsa University. And I wanted to make sure that those who want to go and pursue their education, their graduate education, they have a little bit of support, not a huge amount, but whatever we could do. And I also, on the average, on a weekly basis, I'm speaking with a young graduate he or she wants to not sure what to do, and they can't find a job. And 52% I think of new graduates are underemployed, and about 20% or so, 17% are not employed 1 year after they graduate. So I offer this no charge, no gimmicks. I don't pitch anything. Just I'm there. I have 32 or 3 slots every week where people can go on my website and just say, ask Feras, and they sign up. I get on the call. I help them out. No charge whatsoever. A lot of people help me along the way. And those who are in need of just sometimes just someone to listen to them, and sometimes they need specific guidance. I think we owe it to those around us. I think it was Muhammad Ali who said, "Service is the rent we pay on earth." So we have to do our part.
Yeah, absolutely, and I couldn't agree more. And I'm a lifelong blood donor myself. I've been donated since 1989, and multiple times a year. And so that's the least that we can do. And if it's something that our body produces and it's going to help others, then why not, right? So. All right, Feras, we have come to the end of this. I want to thank you for being on the show. We definitely do appreciate your knowledge, your expertise, and the time that you spent here with us. So I want to thank you, and we'll see you again in some future shows, I am sure.
Thank you so much for having me, Rick. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Absolutely. All right, folks, we come to the end of this segment. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Stay right there. We'll be right back. Hey folks, welcome back to BizTalk. In case you are just now tuning in, my name is Rick Gutierrez, and I am your host and your business advocate. We're continuing conversations with subject matter experts. These are people that have been in business for quite some time. They are experts at what they do, and they're going to be showcasing some things here with us. And one of the next guests that we have on this show is someone who is vital to business growth, particularly startup growth. So I'm excited to bring on board Evan Chi to talk about digital marketing and being able to help those business professionals, business owners through digital marketing. So Evan, welcome back to the show.
Hey Rick, glad to be here.
Yeah, man, it's always a great time having you here. We always learn quite a bit from you. As we all know, digital marketing is vital to business nowadays. You can't get away from it. It's here to stay, and it's going to continue to be the way of the future, right? So I figured we'd talk about optimizing digital marketing through startup growth. So that's something that's completely within your wheelhouse, and you are the expert in this field. So what do you say we have that conversation so our viewers can learn a little bit more about digital marketing for startup growth, and learn more about Evan Chi and everything that you do. So what do you say?
Absolutely. Happy to dig in.
All right, so fantastic. So Evan, with your extensive experience in digital marketing, what are some of the fundamental strategies you recommend for some of these startups to establish a strong online presence early on as they're getting started?
Right. Well, first of all, it's very important to have all of the foundational pieces there, right? So if you're going to sell something, you need a compelling story, you need a compelling product. So you need to start there. That's first and foremost. Okay, once you have that established, and I mean digitally, I mean a website where people can go to, they can fill out a form, they can make a purchase, right? Then the next thing really is social media. Social media is something that has really changed, the sales game. The old channels are not the same. People are making their buying decisions in different ways, and a lot of that is through social media these days. And so that's why it's really vital for any startup, any business, any brand really to be there. So the first thing is to understand which platform is right for you. Depending on what type of company you are, what type of brand you are, there is a social media platform for you to start on. Social media is difficult. It takes time. It takes a lot of strategy and effort. So you might not want kind of an omni strategy right in the beginning. You really want to focus down on one or two channels where, your brand fits and you know that you can really do something compelling, right? That's first and foremost. So now if, you're looking for leads or you're looking for breakthrough content, and LinkedIn is important to you, then, you can talk to companies like ours where, we offer a number of interesting tools for that type of journey. So we have tools to essentially bring virality to any post on LinkedIn, and then we automate a lot of that outreach process, right? So that's going to be vital to any startup, because the first and foremost, again, is kind of this whole awareness piece, right? If people don't know you or haven't heard of you, and you're not a choice in their buying one of their buying choices, then that's just it. They're not going to buy from you. So the awareness piece is extremely important. So that's a really good place to start. Making sure that you have a good content strategy. It has to make sense to your brand. It needs to be able to stand out from the competition because there is a lot of social media competition out there. But really starting with a good organic strategy that fits your brand, that tells the right story, and making sure that it's on the right platform. That's going to be first and foremost. And then adding in, sales or warm leads or some kind of automation pipeline to any business. I mean, that's going to be the bloodline, right? So once you have that awareness piece are going, once people kind of know about you, know what you're all about, maybe share your values and, are open to your products or services, then that's when sales automation really can come in and make an impact. So now you are developing and nurturing warm relationships on your behalf 24/7, asking clients, qualifying questions to make sure that the right clients for you, and then automating a booking of a phone call onto your calendar, right? So all of this is kind of happening while you're out there, doing whatever it is else you need to do, because, when you run a business, there's always 1,000 things to do, right? So this kind of frees up your time, and allows you at least to automate that sales process, while making sure that whole awareness piece is in place.
Man, you are talking my language, Evan, because I am all about systems, processes, and tools and techniques that we have to have in place for any entity, and then the brand of those entities that we create, right? So let's say, for example, you start selling products or services and people ask you, okay, let me check out your website. And if you don't have that in place, well, then they're just gonna kind of question, because everyone and their grandmother now has a website, right? So you have to have that in place first. You have to have your CRMs, all of your automations that you mentioned, Evan, is something that needs to be in place for your drip campaigns and all of those things. So I think for startups, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, this is something that is crucial for startups so that they can get started on the right foot. So I appreciate you sharing that. Crucial knowledge there for startups. So let's talk about over at Regenesis, you guys are technology driven. You guys are always updating your technologies and staying up to date with technologies. But man, there are so many different AI driven tools in digital marketing nowadays. How have you guys utilized some of these technologies over at Regenesis to help startups enhance their visibility and engagement with their customers?
We're using them in every way possible. That's how we're
I kind
using
of
them.
figured.
We're just yeah, we're there's so many cool use cases out there. There's just not enough time to build them all. But really, right now, I think first of all, we want to talk about the difference between AI and automation. I think, a lot of people I speak to, they kind of have the two of them mixed up. They're both great, but they're both different, right? So we happen to utilize both AI and automation, right? AI is kind of the use of these like large language models, and then the automation is really like kind of automating processes that are, kind of day to day and repetitive. And so we kind of put two of these together in a really cool tool for people. And so the differentiation really is we're using AI to do everything from creating entire campaigns. You mentioned drip campaigns. So we have AI that will essentially write that entire campaign for you. We have AI that will create responses, create messages, and create comments. And they're doing this across LinkedIn, across email, and across SMS. And so we're automating all of those things kind of like right on the platform. The AI will also scrape LinkedIn profiles to make sure that each message is very customized and very real and very thoughtful. So that's very important. Of course, there's an approval process to make sure that humans are still approving these AI generated messages. That's also very important. And then the next part of it is the automation, right? The automation is kind of the piece that is going to automatically, send the follow-up email and make sure that people are onboarded correctly. And these kinds of things. And specifically for LinkedIn, it's the automation of the entire outreach process, including, again, across, LinkedIn, email, and SMS. And again, using the AI tools to essentially automate the outreach for people.
Yeah, absolutely. So AI is here to stay, as Howard Hughes used to say, is the way of the future, and it's here to stay, and we might as well just jump in and adapt and start using AI as much as possible. And I'm glad that you guys over there at Regenesis are using it in every single possible way, because it just makes things a little bit easier, and you can create many more things just by using AI the correct way. So Evan, before we go, I want to ask you to share a success story where digital marketing strategies significantly accelerated a startup's growth, detailing some of the challenges, solutions that you guys involved to get those businesses going.
Right. It's really simple, actually. So we have a client, and it's a really interesting client. We're in the fifth week of working with this particular person, and they've got a really interesting background. They're a best-selling author. They're a keynote speaker. They have a really great podcast. And they came to us to essentially help grow their presence on LinkedIn. And so, we took over, like I said, about 5 weeks ago and kind of came up with a very intense and new content strategy, like just kind of talking about a few things that, he's have kind of always been under his belt, but he's never really thought of sharing before. And so really like kind of changing the strategy and the story of what this person is doing, because they're really doing some amazing things. Um, and so again, in the fifth week, we're about at 2.2 million impressions. That's on LinkedIn.
Nice.
And so if you guys know LinkedIn, that's like a home run
Right.
for sure. And so not only that, but within the first month of working their outreach automation, we were able to book 10 solid meetings.
Nice.
So he's probably got some speaking engagements coming up. He's also got the release of a new book coming up. So we're working on talking about that. Again, that's through what we're doing, AI post boosting. So making sure that each of these posts is being seen and heard. That includes reach, engagement, and impressions. And so, making sure that this person's stuff is out there and everywhere, and the right people are seeing it, and then he's making the right conversions from it.
Nice. Very good. I appreciate you sharing that because that's something our viewers would like to know a little bit more about, success stories that you guys are being able to help some of these business owners get that visibility and that engagement that they need, right? So thank you again, Evan, for coming on to the show. We definitely do appreciate you, and hopefully you'll be on shows in the near future.
Thanks for having me, Rick.
All right, my friend. All right, folks, that is for this segment. So let's go into a quick commercial break. Stay right there. We'll be right back. Hey folks, welcome back to BizTalks. My name is Rick Gutierrez, your host and your business advocate. When I tell you that I love this show, I love this show. We have a tremendous amount of experts coming through, being on this show and bringing their expertise, their tips, tricks, and insights into business and how they can help you grow your business. And if you're looking into potentially starting a business, then we have the right expert that's joining us here today. And I've got no one else but Miss Nora with Nora's Books. Welcome back to the show, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me, Eric. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
Absolutely. We always have a great conversation, and I learned a lot, and we're obviously, educating our viewers, our potential new business owners, nonprofits, that are getting started. And, that's the reason why we like to have this conversation with many different business professionals from different walks of life, so that we can provide this information to everyone who's thinking about starting a business or maybe a nonprofit. And that's the reason why you're here. We know that Nora's Books, for the big part, of Nora's Books, you guys focus on nonprofit organizations, right? So let's talk a little bit about that, and what are some of the most common financial missteps that you have seen that a nonprofit starts with, and then you have to go back and try to help them a little bit. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So the most common missteps would be really like any business, the cash flow. Cash flow, every business have, including nonprofits. And where we come to help the nonprofits is putting them in a cash flow management, make sure they're building their donor base, because donor base is really the backbone for any nonprofit. Like if you have a lot of nonprofits have rely on grants. If they get a big grant, that's not going to be allowing them to grow. But most of the time they don't. So let's say if you are in business and you have one client that's making your paycheck, helping you pay your team, pay your business overhead. If that client no longer interested in your service, your business is gonna go down. You don't no longer have a business. You cannot pay your staff. You cannot pay yourself. Same thing with nonprofits. They have to diversify their funding, and the best way to diversify is really having that donor base where they can have 75% of their income coming from their donor. That is the backbone for any organization. That's what we advise. This is what we focus on any nonprofit, and then making sure they are working on their cash flow management, so they manage those funds very well.
Absolutely. So there is that's just either one or just a few of the missteps, the mishaps that could potentially happen when it comes to the financial stability of a nonprofit. And so having you by a nonprofit side is basically going to cut that to a minimum and potentially not have any of those issues at all, having you by their side. So thank you for sharing that. We certainly do appreciate it. Now let's talk a little bit more about for-profit businesses, because you also help for-profit businesses. And then, one of the things that for-profit businesses are in constant pressure of is maintaining profitability while managing that cash flow effectively as well. Can you dive into a specific strategies that you could potentially have helped your financial, with your financial background, how you help those for-profit businesses to stay in the black?
Sure. So there's a lot of strategies, but I'm gonna focus on the three most common one everyone has to pay attention to. First thing, if you do not measure what you have, you cannot improve it. So first thing, measuring. And with measuring, I mean like you need to have bookkeeping and not just like Excel sheets or even just like connecting the bank account to QuickBook or whatever software you're using. No, but I mean like professional bookkeeping. Really go with the GAAP, which is the general accounting principle, and making sure your business is doing what it's supposed to be doing, having profit, cash flowing. So you need to measure, and measuring is a compliance work. So a lot of people mistakenly saying, you know, like we cannot afford bookkeeping yet. Well, we cannot afford not to have bookkeeping, because simply if you do not measure what you have, you cannot improve it. If you do not measure it well with bookkeeping, you cannot take the deduction you are entitled to take. Therefore, you will be paying so much in taxes. So this is the first strategy. Second strategy is actually make sure your pricing is accurate. A lot of people have that mistaking. A lot of people like, okay, I'm gonna buy this with $50, I'm gonna sell it with 60, I'm gonna have $10 of profit. No, you're losing money, because most of the time you're spending your time, you are maybe sending shipping, maybe you're adding something to that. You are forgetting the overhead cost. You're using like some programs, some softwares, leveraging other people help. So you are missing all of that. So you're pricing to fail, pricing to actually not having profit. So this is a very, very common strategy, because we think people are not going to afford it. If we think it's expensive, then the people will think it's expensive. Now, if you cannot price to profit, then what? Don't be in that business. Maybe that's not a good business, not a good business for you, because no one enter a business to lose. So that's very common strategy. So we help people in pricing, making sure they have really the good price that where they can be accessible to their ideal clients, but also profitable. And with pricing, with the packaging, their products or services, to make sure like you have cash flowing. So maybe like you have entry price, and then after that, like it will be like monthly. So it makes it easier for your client, but also have all that cash flowing on your end as a business owner. So the third one I want to mention is leveraging debt, because profit does not mean cash flow, and cash flow does not mean profit. So you still have to leverage debt as a business owner, especially if you want to grow, if you want to save in taxes, you want to leverage debt. This is very important. A lot of us, like we were taught, okay, you don't have a credit card, but in business, it's so much different. You want to leverage that. You want to have a credit card or a line of credit before you need it, because business, a lot of things happen in business, and you want to have some type of risk management, and that can be done. One of the risk management strategies is really leveraging debt, where you have like credit card before you need it, line of credit before you need it, because when you need it, no one's going to accept you, and you might have to be forced to actually close your business, which you don't want to see. A lot of business fail in the first 5 days, 5 years, 5 years, because of the cash flow problem. And having debt in place available to you, that's going to help you avoid closing down your business.
So one of the key takeaways, I mean, you mentioned so many amazing things, but one of the key takeaways that I think a lot of people are going to remember is that profit does not equal cash flow, and cash flow does not equal profit. And that's one big common mistake that I have seen a lot through my years of being an entrepreneur, is something that most people don't really understand. They figure that if there's a profit, we're good, we're having a great quarter or a great half a year or a great year, but it's definitely not necessarily the case, because they're completely two different things, and they need to be managed the right way. And that's the reason why you're here, Nora. So
Yeah.
one of the
Absolutely.
other things that I can remember us talking about briefly a while back, but I kind of want to dive in a little bit more into this, and that's transparency and accountability. And those are, crucial for nonprofits, especially when it comes to donor relations and grant compliance and all of those things. I know that you guys at Nora's Books do an amazing job in helping with all of these compliances. So share a little bit more about how you guys help nonprofits stay transparent, you know, so that their donors and when they apply for grants, it's becomes a seamless, you know, transaction.
So first, when anyone enter a nonprofit, they should understand nonprofit is public. Nothing about your life as a nonprofit leader is private anymore. Like everything is public. If you're taking a salary, that's public. Anything is public. So if you were to go to the IRS website, you're gonna see the 990, which is the tax form for nonprofit, already over there, and you will be able to know how much each organization raised, how much did they spend, who did their taxes, who is their executive director or the person who's responsible to sign the form. So you're gonna see a lot of information. Everything is public, unlike your individual taxes or your business taxes. So that's the first thing to understand. So the transparency is not only required, it's forced on you, even if you are not electing to do it. But it's very important to be proactive on transparency when you have a nonprofit, because that's also encourage other people to donate to you. So if I see like you raised hundreds of thousands of dollars in a cause, I will be more likely to donate to you, because now I feel, okay, this many people donated this much money, then okay, now I'm more likely to trust you because a lot of other people trusted you. Another thing is you need to be doing your financials, everything, and providing that in your 990. That's required. That's not optional. That's part of transparency that's enforced on you. Now, the other thing with grants, this is a different thing. Now, with the grants, you have to make sure you're spending every penny the way you told the grantor that you're going to spend your money for. You cannot just change. Oh, we need this now. You cannot spend any penny without the approval of your grantor or funder, because they told you, okay, this is the budget, this is how much you pay this person, this is how much you pay in this for this program. If any change is required for any reason, it must be first approved by them before you change it. Otherwise, you will be required to pay that money back. I've seen a lot of people, and if you talk to any seasoned grant writer, they will tell you they've seen it. A lot of people, they were granted an award and then they had to pay it back simply because they did not spend it the way they should have spent it.
And that is the reason why you are here, and the reason why we're having these conversations, because your expertise have just probably opened the eyes of many of our viewers that are either a nonprofit or for-profit businesses, because that is information that, you know, a lot of people don't know, and we appreciate you being here on the show and going over that information, because it's valuable. And so we want to thank you for being on the show once again, Nora. We definitely do appreciate it, and we hope to see you again soon in a future episode.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Likewise. All right, folks, we're going to take another quick commercial break. We'll be back with another expert. Stay right there. We'll be right back. Hey folks, welcome back to BizTalk. In case you are just now tuning in, my name is Rick Gutierrez. I'm your host and your business advocate. I'm excited for our next guest. He is an expert in everything that is AI and the world as is going to evolve around the world of AI. Harmonic AI is an amazing company doing some really amazing things, and it's led by the one and only Dr. Badeau. Welcome back to the show, sir.
Oh, Rick, it's great to be here.
It's always a great time, great conversations every time you're on the show, and like I said, we always have experts, and that's the reason why you're here. You're the expert in AI, and boy, do I have a topic of conversation today, because I feel like this is something, I mean, I say this every week, every topic of conversation is crucial for business development, right, in order to move forward and have some progress in business. But the advancements in impact of Harmonic AI in business decisions. So business decisions is something that, like it or not, we all have to make them, right, at some point or another. And sometimes we make decisions and hope for the best, right, and hope that everything comes out right. But when you have experts on your side, like Dr. Alan Badeau and Harmonic AI, you have no choice but to succeed. So, Dr. Badeau, let's get into it. I think this is a great topic for you to discuss how Harmonic AI is at the forefront of enhancing AI-human interactions, right? Can you explain a little on, or at least a little bit of the advancements in AI technologies and how they're transforming them in decision-making in the business world?
Yeah, when you look at the landscape itself, AI is, especially when you look at the chatbots and the large language models, it's evolving so quickly that it's really impossible to, really get ahead of it, at least until it starts to level out. And I know that makes it very difficult for, folks that are trying to run a business that aren't familiar with this kind of technology, that are really trying to use it and want to use it. They just don't quite know how to start, and they think it's too complicated, it's too hard, and in some cases it is, because the one thing that you don't want to do is try to boil the ocean. That's not going to be successful. It's too hard. It's very costly, and you're going to waste an awful lot of time. And so, then you've got this other field called human-centered design, which is trying to take software and optimize it so humans are going to use it better. We've used it on systems, especially on the DoD side, with military systems for a very long time. It's think about it this way. It's like simulating. If I put one button next to another button, and that other button just happens to fire something, if somebody gets tired or somebody gets a little punch happy on the on the buttons, then they hit the wrong button. Well, a non-critical button should not be near a critical button, and so it's using those kind of principles to optimize how we interact with software. And so what we're doing is we're bringing those together. We're using those technologies that allow us to have the AI do what it's really good at doing, mostly in the background, present information that is very easy to consume for our human users, and then they can make a more informed decision. And I said the last time, we are trying to get to a solution in under 6 clicks of a button for one particular industry. That's our end goal, is how do we make it easier to use and give the human a perspective, a potential decision that then they can make, because it's awful hard to make a gut decision when you're the only one that is providing perspective as well as making that decision, right? So the AI is your partner. It gives you a nice, transparent way and how it's making the decision, how it came to the decision, and what the decision is, and then you can say, okay, you know what, I'm gonna go this way, or I'm gonna go another way, but at least you have as much information as you can to make the right decision.
I believe so. It's about having the right tools that can help you streamline your decision making, especially when we are busy, and there's busy times of the year, and having the right tools, the right systems in place that are partnered with certain AI features or technologies that can help us make those decisions much quicker, much faster. I think it's the way to go. It's the way of the future, and it's here to stay. So why not adapt and be a part of the movement of AI as it moves forward in technology? So, Dr. Allen, let's talk a little bit about the specific industries that you're seeing the most significant impact from implementing Harmonic AI solutions. And can you provide a quick example of how Harmonic AI has revolutionized a particular sector?
Yeah, and one of the ones that I can actually talk about is really around where we are from trying to accelerate, for instance, in insurance claims, right? This is something that has been very difficult for an awful lot of users. I know a lot of users and viewers in the Houston area will understand this immensely because of hurricanes and the damage that hurricanes cause, and floods and those kind of things. And the challenge that you have when you go through a natural disaster, for instance, it's not just the home, it's not just the damage that it does, it's all the emotional baggage that comes along with that after the event has taken place. How do you get your insurance to cover things? How do you do it faster? You know, the delays in that can cause significant delays in your repairs that you have, and then things steamroll and really, you know, snowball down a hill where oftentimes the things that take place after are more damaging to people's lives than the actual events themselves. And so we are developing, and you know, with a couple of different partners on you know, the insurance side, to bring our technology to the forefront so that users, assessors, insurance companies can get through the whole process significantly faster. That means that folks are going to get reimbursed significantly faster. And, you know, the quicker that we can get folks the money, the faster they can rebuild their homes, their lives, and their communities. And that, at the end of the day, is, you know, really what AI is meant to do. And, you know, I think, you know, from, you know, we'll have some metrics really around that probably in the next, you know, 3 to 6 months. But it's really exciting what we're going to be able to do for folks.
Absolutely. So I'm glad that you picked that sector of property and casualty insurance, because living, at least for us here, we live so close to the Gulf here in Houston, Texas. We get hit with hurricanes, tropical storms, and all those great things. Just like our good friends over in Florida are getting bombarded right now with the hurricane.
That's right.
Property and casualty insurance. I actually have a really good friend that owns an Allstate agency, and you know, I tried to get a hold of him just to check on him after the hurricane and everything, and he actually picked up, and I said, I figured you would be so busy that you would not pick up, you know, the phone to talk to me. And he says, well, all thanks to the great tools of AI, we're able to streamline some processes, and so we're able to use our time more effectively. So hit the nail on the head with using that that sector as an example. So I appreciate that, Dr. Badeau. Looking ahead, let's think about, you know, what's in store in the future. What are the next steps for Harmonic AI in terms of new features or markets that are up and coming in different projects that you guys are developing?
Yeah, from our perspective, we are always going to be looking at that user interaction first. How can we make it easier to use? How can we make it easier to understand? How can we make it more transparent? How can we make it more ethical in what it's, you know, the specific market segment that we are working in? And so, you know, we're, you know, developing, you know, products for some other companies that are looking at, you know, providing, you know, human resource and talent development, coaching, those sorts of things. We're looking at, you know, the medical industry and how we can train, you know, newer personnel coming out of school significantly faster than what they can do today. How can we also accelerate, you know, some testing and some reading of different tests so that folks can get their results back significantly faster? You know, those are impacts to people's daily lives. You know, it's being able to do your job better. It's, you know, being able to get a diagnosis faster. It's all of those things that we're trying to do to, you know, really leverage the technology in the right way. There are a lot of industries, and you know, good and bad, that are, you know, seeing some misfires with AI, and some people, you know, I mean, we've already started to hear some of the negative talk about it, and some, you know, in certain industries. But again, if people would focus on deploying this technology for problems that are, you know, at the heart, or, you know, the root of what they're trying to solve, if they would try to sell the product in the right way, with, you know, not trying to oversell it, what its capabilities are, but giving people the benefit of understanding what the true capability is, then, you know, when you deploy it, how you deploy it, and the time savings, it's going to be there for everybody. It's just when you oversell and say that it's going to do everything, that's when people get themselves in trouble. And we're not doing that. We're really focused on key components that allow humans to make decisions faster, and better, and more accurate, and more ethical. And that's what I think if a lot of folks would and companies would really do that, I think they would be a lot more successful in the long run, because the future, we always see winners, right? Winner is where you see a downturn in some sort of technology and it goes on the back burner until there's another technology breakthrough that comes around. I don't think we're going to see that for AI for a long time. But however, we are going to see that, folks are going to get some AI, disillusionment around, I thought it was going to do this and this and this. And well, it never was meant to do that. So we just have to keep that in the back of our minds, and we always do as we're looking at those new markets that we're going to go into.
Yeah, it's doing some, AI is doing some really amazing things. When you look, I mean, you talked a little bit about, how it's revolutionizing the healthcare industry. And sometimes, in the hospital, seconds are crucial, right? It could mean the matter of life or death. And so getting the information that we need in a much quicker sense, it's, crucial to a lot of people and a lot of businesses nowadays. So, Dr. Allen,
right.
that I can talk to you all day long about this stuff because I find it fascinating. I think we have some really great conversations. But we've come to the end of this segment. I want to thank you for being on the show once again. I know that we're going to have you for some more shows, and I can't wait to have those conversations with you.
Yeah, that sounds good, Rick. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you. All right, folks, we have come to a close of another successful episode interviewing tons of business professionals, business owners that have been in business for a long time, business experts, sharing their knowledge with us. We appreciate everything that they do for us, and we are here to help you grow your business, and we can't wait to see you next week. So until next time, take care of each other, and we'll see you soon.
This has been a Now Media Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved.